That always scares me. Hey everyone, it's Donna and Bridie. How are you?
Hi, hey everyone.
Today we're going to talk, or tonight, well, some of you, it depends on where you are. Like Paul's over in Asia, so he's going to see it in the morning, hopefully. But we're going to talk about armchair travel. And
Mm.
Bridie's going to talk about what that means, and I'm going to pitch in every once in a while here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for joining me, Donna, today. I think many of us are starting to get really itchy feet, would you say? And we're really desperate to travel, whether it's, even outside of our immediate area. And I kind of got to thinking about how we could still be learning about the world around us without actually going anywhere because, we can't really. So, there's actually quite a few things that we can be doing that can help us to discover the world. And there are some very obvious ones, but there are some ones that maybe you're not so familiar with. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about that with you all today to hopefully give you some ideas of how you can get ready for do some armchair traveling of your own.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go
Mm,
right now. It's great because you don't have to have any vaccine. You don't have to wear a mask. You can just sit in your chair or in your bed and
uh-huh.
go to wherever.
Exactly. So of course you can decide that you're going to go to one destination. Of course, it might be that you really want to visit Paris in an armchair, or it could be that you just want to do a round the world trip, just stopping off at so many places. So yeah, it's fantastic. So the first one, of course, I think this is especially important for vegans, of course, is food. Like, how can we explore French food? For example, if we're looking to go to France on our armchair travel, well, of course, we can be exploring different cuisines at restaurants in our town. I am sure there is cuisine in our towns that we haven't tried. I don't know about you, Donna. Do you feel like you've tried all of the different kinds of cuisines in your town? I guess it depends on the size of your town, but what about you?
No, I mean, there's so much. I actually got Chinese food tonight, but which I haven't been to China yet. That's on my to-do list one day. Uh,
Hmm.
but no, I would love to try different kinds of foods. I've had French food, but I don't think I've had French food here. I would
Mm.
like to try, I love Vietnamese food when they do it right. Um, I don't know what other kinds of foods I would want. Um,
Do you have any Ethiopian food in your
oh
town by
yeah,
chance?
I used to live right down the street when I lived in DC. I'm in Maryland, you guys. So whoever is watching, just to let you know, and Bridie's in British Columbia, so we're on opposite ends of the continent. Pretty much. When I lived in the city in DC, I lived literally about 3 blocks away from like 3 Ethiopian restaurants. And that was like my first to go, that was in the 80s. So that was like my first really like, oh,
Hmm.
this is interesting. And people either really love Ethiopian food or they can't deal with it because it's using their hands. I don't know if you find that.
I understand that some people find that a little bit icky. Personally, I don't have a problem with it, but the food is really tasty. I
Oh,
absolutely love
it's
the
so
food.
good. I
I only
actually, thank you
yeah.
for reminding me. I should have gotten that tonight.
I only first ate Ethiopian food about 6 years ago, and it was just revelatory. I just couldn't believe that I'd gone 40 years of my life without trying it. So
Really?
that's the first tip, exploring different cuisines at restaurants in your own town. But also, of course, I think this is something that we could all do is exploring new cuisines in our own kitchen as well. Whether it's getting a cookbook for a sort of a type of cuisine that perhaps we're not so familiar with. I know most of us, the cookbooks that we have are vegan cookbooks, and that's usually like a mixture of different cuisines. But it could be an idea to find some to delve into a cuisine of a particular country and either veganize online recipes or find some vegan versions and really sort of try to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe you could make a themed dinner as well. That could be really, really fun. Another thing that we can do as well is like to dive into YouTube. I don't know whether maybe get your pencils ready, but there is some fantastic travel shows about vegan food. There's a channel called the Vegan Roadie,
Oh
which is
yes,
really fun.
Dustin Harding. Yes, he's great.
Yeah, yeah. So he's kind of interesting. And there's international travel as a vegan. There's somebody and Eunice Ray's Rated V. She does a vegan travel food show as well. So
So
that's
back, if
quite
you can
fun.
back off a second, back up, not back off. I'm just putting it in the Facebook page.
Oh,
International travel as a vegan. Is that what you wanted?
that's right.
Okay, good. All right. Well, because we'll put them in. I can actually put them in later too.
Mm. Okay, I can give you the links later too, though.
Yeah,
I've got
that's
them
good.
down here. Yeah. And another thing that when Eunice and I were talking about this the other day, since the pandemic has happened, there's actually quite a lot of online cooking classes. Um, and of course, we know there are lots of online cooking classes, but actually, like ones um, they're not necessarily vegan, but of course they're veganizable, where they're actually being done in interesting countries. For example, there's one called The Table Less Traveled and Jeremy Pang's School of Wok. So these are they're not necessarily vegan, but of course most of us have the skills to veganize them. And the teachers are, Italians, and it's set in the beautiful Italian country kitchen as well. So it can be a really fun thing to do. Mm.
Um, I wanted to bring up something that I started watching a few weeks ago. It's not vegan, it's not even close to vegan, but I love watching just how the things are made and the countryside. And I don't know if you get CNN where you are, but Stanley Tucci is doing a whole series on Italy.
I've been seeing adverts for that.
It's really good. I mean, you have to take out the fact that it's not vegan. And I was kind of disappointed that he was in Rome and he didn't do any vegan restaurants there, but maybe he's going to. I don't know. He hasn't gotten there. He went this summer, which I was really surprised that he did. Yeah, he went this summer when things were good in Italy, and it's kind of, it was nice to see the places that I've been to,
Yeah,
so
exactly. It can really trigger a trip down memory lane,
yeah,
can't it?
yeah.
Mm. Yep, yep. Another idea is like signing up for monthly subscription boxes. Um, are you aware of this idea of monthly subscription boxes? Have you heard about this craze, Donna?
Well, I just heard about it today, so I want to just interrupt just for a second because we didn't say this, but you did a podcast. You have a podcast that you do weekly, I think, and we're actually basing this show right now on that podcast. So if everybody can follow you, you can get it on Apple. What the name of it is? The vegetarian.
Well, Vegan Travel Podcast.
Thank you. And you can get it on iPhone, Apple Tunes. You
Yes.
go to the website, to Brady's website, which she'll put that in there. And yeah, so I heard it today, what you were talking about, but I didn't really know if is it like a master class?
So the monthly subscription boxes, they've become very popular in recent years, and the frustrating thing is there are lots and lots of these kinds of monthly subscription boxes with cool snack foods from various places around the world, but of course they're not necessarily vegan. But there are a few out there, especially for things that maybe aren't necessarily food. They might be like different teas or
Right.
different wines, all of these kinds of things to try, get a little surprise once a month and
Oh,
do a subscription box. So that's quite fun.
and it was pretty reasonable, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 5 year, I don't know, was it in euros that you were talking about, or?
They depend. The subscription box depends. Sometimes they're like $15 a month, depending on the type of subscription box. Sometimes it's, well, for a few bottles of wine, of course, it will be a lot more.
Right.
The next thing I want to talk about is virtual tours. Now, I know a few of us on the Vegan Travel Collective, we've got a little bit excited about these virtual tours. Do you want to tell us how they work, Donna? Because I know you've done a few
Well,
of them too.
okay, so I actually, and have another agent in here she's the one who got me started, Kim Giavacco. She posted on her personal Facebook page about virtualtrips.io, and that's with an S. So it's virtualtrips.io. And you can go anywhere around the world, basically. I mean, they didn't have certain areas like Kenya and the safaris and Costa Rica and, because
Mainly cities, would you say?
most
Mainly city?
cities, and it's probably because of the Wi-Fi is what I'm thinking. They did have some African cities that they went to. But I missed one of them, so I'll have to go. I think it was Senegal. So, but I've so far, well, Kim has beat me by a landslide. She's been all over the world right now. Apparently, she's done over 30 countries. She's totally addicted to it, and I'm starting to get addicted to it. I've so far, I went to Italy, and I went to Ireland, which I love the Ireland. No, I went to Scotland and Ireland. I didn't do Italy yet. Scotland was hilarious because I couldn't understand a word he was saying. And that brought back a lot of memories of when I went 20 years ago, when we would go and we went to a bar one night, and there was a guy who was totally toothless. He was sitting at the bar and he's just chatting away to the guy next to him. Couldn't understand. My husband and I looked at each other. I was like, do you know what he's saying? I'm like, no, and every time we would get directions, we'd ask for directions and we'd shake our head and then like, okay,
Okay. What,
I
what did you go
don't
through?
know where we are still. But so the food has really changed in Scotland in the past
Yeah.
5 years. But it was fun to watch them. It was actually like being with a tour guide because you were. The only thing that they request, and they don't require it because some people are, not in the place to do anything right now, is if you can to give them a tip,
Mm,
and you can give them as much or as little as you want. They kind of give you an idea of what you should be doing. I think it's the standard's like $5, you know,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
and that helps support the guides that are unemployed right now.
I've dropped in on one. I dropped in for the last 10 minutes of a Paris tour. So when you go onto the website, you can even see any that are happening at that moment and just sort of jump in. And it's a very nice interface. It's not just like a Zoom interface. It's been properly nicely designed, and the guide is pointing the camera, and they're official tour guides. These people really know their stuff. They're great have a lot of knowledge. They tell really good stories, and they're just taking you through the streets of Paris, and people are asking questions. And I remember when I watched mine, he was standing on the hill at Montmartre in Paris, and it was a beautiful sunset, and it was really lovely. So
Yeah,
I think this is so fun, and of course you can go to the ones that are happening now, but you can
right,
also see the ones that are coming up,
right.
and
They send
this
you
is
reminders too. I did do Paris. That's what it was. So I've done Paris. I couldn't remember which ones. They're starting to. I did Paris, Scotland, and I did Washington D.C., which is where I live. But I just wanted to see how she handled D.C.
yeah.
The one in Paris that I did was at nighttime. So it was the
Oh,
Eiffel Tower lit up, and he just walked all the way around the Eiffel Tower. It was great,
wow.
and you
Yeah.
got to chat with other people too. So
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice, and I think it's a wonderful way that we can be supporting tour guides around the world that are struggling. Most of these tour guides are freelance,
right,
so it can be really helpful for them as well. So Another one, another idea was like just really trying to diversify music that we listen to. Most of us will have some sort of Spotify, but I don't know about you, but sometimes need a kick in the butt to get me out of a rut, whether it's the kinds of when it comes to the kind of content that I'm consuming. I know that if I actually made a point and forced myself to discover, for example, Portuguese fado music, I
Oh,
would really, really enjoy that. Well, I know that music a little bit already, but sometimes I just need to make an agreement with myself. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to really try to just listen to some different kind of music, you know? And
yeah. The other thing with that, you just made me think about this. I saw it today. There are bands that are playing music on YouTube, and they're different bands from around the world that are playing this one popular song.
oh,
I'll see if I can't find it here. There was one, like they played like some Bob Dylan songs, and then you'll get some musicians that are in Kenya, some musicians in South
oh,
Africa, and
wow.
they're all playing together the same song. It's really beautiful.
At the same time?
Yes, yes.
Mm,
It's Ringo Starr actually did one. The band did one, but they have musicians from all over the world
yeah,
in different countries. It's
that
great.
is cool.
Yeah.
And I guess they all do their own little twist on it, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Mm, yep. And on a similar kind of vein as music, I often need a bit of a kick in the butt to get me out of my kind of TV rut. And again, with Netflix and Prime and all of these things, we can just travel the world. Gone are the days where it was hard to get content in a different language or to find, a slightly obscure Japanese film. We have so much. It's insane. And it's sometimes tricky because these days we have so much incredible content in our own language. There's just so much incredible American shows or British shows. But if we can kind of make a point of um, trying some different kinds of shows or documentaries for that matter, I think it's really enriches us in similar ways that travel does. I'm watching this really funny show at the moment called Call My Agent. It's a French comedy show, and I'm really enjoying it. It is a lot of
I heard
fun.
about it. I heard it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
Very
And
quirky.
and that's the nice thing about Netflix. I think foreign language content is getting English audience, which is a great thing, I think.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny is my father, my parents would never watch the foreign flicks because they didn't like reading the subtitles. But now that he can't hear, he prefers watching the foreign movies with the subtitles.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, subtitles come in handy. I personally don't mind watching subtitles at all, but I'm noticing that of course it's nice to hear the foreign language. There's often English dubbing on Netflix as well. So if you really don't like it, but you don't like reading subtitles, you don't even have to listen to the language anymore. You can just hear it in English. You've just got the
So weird though. It's like
yeah.
watching
I don't like that
movies that don't
personally, but
do that. I have a hard time with that too.
yeah. My fifth big idea is to virtually visit world class museums. These are not necessarily guided, but you can go to, for example, the Musée d'Orsay in Paris and the British Museum in London. You can go on a virtual tour of the Sistine Chapel and Michelangelo in Rome. You can go to the Getty Museum.
What?
You can visit, sorry?
No, I was just saying what? I've never heard of this one before.
Yeah, yeah, you can virtually visit the Luxor in Egypt, which have, so this is all really, really cool as well. Um, Let me see if I can find a quick example of what that might look like. Maybe I can share my screen momentarily. Am I able to do it? Okay, so like this. Oh, Maybe if you can, Donna, you can change it so I can share my
Oh,
screen. I
yeah, yeah,
can't.
yeah, yeah.
No
Sorry.
problem.
That night. Actually, all right. So let me get in here. Let me share. Okay. So multiple. Should have done that beforehand. Sorry
No
about
problem. No problem.
that. In the main.
So this is an example of the virtual tour of Valley of the Kings that you can do if you want to. There's all sorts of these kinds of virtual trips as
Oh, it's
well. So that's
Viator.
pretty
Yes,
cool.
I know Viator. I've used their business before.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, they they there used to be another company that I would do all these day trips with, but I'm imagining they're all doing the same thing right now. That's
Yeah.
great that they're doing that. I'll have to look into that. Kim from Veg Johnson Journey said she highly recommends the Kindness Diaries.
Oh, I don't know. The Kindness Diaries. I don't know that.
We'll have to look it up.
Oh,
Maybe she can put the link down below. And
oh, it's a TV show.
yeah, I think it's a movie. And Catherine just chimed in here. She said she was introduced to the National Arts Club of New York City last year and enjoyed the performances of great musicians. Yeah, that's another great thing to do. I bet you
Yep.
they have them around the world.
Yep.
In
Mm,
fact, I was listening to all these musicians in the beginning of the pandemic that were doing concerts at home, and they were doing them from all over the world. It's
yeah.
great. I
Mm,
mean, so you
it's
can
pretty cool.
literally, it's a lot cheaper than traveling too, right now,
Hmm.
doing it from home.
There's another one that I've never actually done, but my friend Colleen, she is a huge fan of, is a subscription or getting a subscription, or sometimes you can even do it through your local library. It's called the Great Courses Plus. Have
Oh,
you heard of this?
this is what I was thinking of earlier. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I want to find this because the Great Courses Plus, these are courses, and of course, they're not graded or anything, but these courses are just such high quality. So I'm going to share my screen and just give you an example of what that all looks like. So, for example, we have here the Great Courses Plus. Do you see my screen, Donna?
I do.
So let's say, for example, I want to armchair travel to Italy. I'm not a member, but I still will be able to see the classes. We can see that there is a lot of stuff. So these are just the courses, and these are the lectures and the professors. Now, some of these professors are so well qualified. They've got like PhDs in Italian history. And they're just absolutely incredible. So if we wanted to say, for example, dig really deep into the great artists of the Italian Renaissance, we have,
I like how you say that,
so,
Renaissance.
oh, Renaissance.
Yeah.
They have 36 lectures that have been created by these people that have Masters of Arts in art history. So these people really are really rather special, and they'll have stuff like um, um, just everyday guide to wine.
Oh
There's
yeah. Let's
one on
do that.
cooking, like learn about the architecture, cathedrals. So if you feel like you can't afford a subscription to the Great Courses Plus, they have a free trial, but often local libraries in the United States, they will have a subscription that you can use. They'll have like an institution. So that's how my friend Colleen accesses it, through her local library.
So does she go, because I know that a lot of libraries are closed. So does she use her subscription and go online and do it? Is that how she does it?
Yes, so her library has a subscription to the Great Courses Plus, and she's able to access it all
Oh, that's
through
great.
through online. Like off, well, my small local library, even when it was closed, the digital components, you could still borrow books digitally, and you could use their subscriptions. We don't have Great Courses Plus, but they have other things, and you could do that with you could borrow all of these resources and use these resources through your local library, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. The next tip is learning a language. And
I try. I do.
yeah, I think a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves when it comes to learning a language, like we somehow have to be fluent. But I would argue that we can dabble and we can just have fun with language. And I think most people think about Duolingo. I know Wendy from Nomadic Vegan has strong feelings about Duolingo. I do too, actually. But they're about whether it's the best way. But I would actually say that there are lots of other incredible apps. Um, I've actually been doing a lot of teaching on Italki, which is a platform for language teachers um, to learn a language. So you can learn more than 100 different languages in Italki, and you can filter your you can find teachers based on your language you want to study, of course, but also your price and when they're available. So you can find teachers that will be teaching Italian for $5 an hour
Wow. How
for
did
a private teacher.
how do they do? I mean, wow. I won't even go there. But that's really cheap. Yeah.
So the reason for that, because of course that's very, 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 very cheap. A lot of the time, teachers that first go onto the platform, they don't have any reviews yet. They don't have any ratings yet. So they need to build their credibility. So for that reason, you can find really cheap language teachers for well, depending on the language, $5, $6, $7 an hour. And you don't have to put this pressure on yourself to be studying like every day between lessons. Just have fun. And I have an Italian teacher on Italki. She's great. I just enjoy learning a little bit of Italian. It's not serious, but I just enjoy doing it. So I would really recommend that.
I might have to try that. I mean, I know un poquito in Spanish, and I always try before I go to a country to learn how to say I'm vegan. Years
Mm,
ago they didn't have that word in most countries, but
right.
I would have to say I don't eat meat, I don't eat cheese, I don't eat fish, so I had to do it that way. But now, there are a lot of countries do have words for vegan in there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if just dabble, just have fun with it, and just don't put any pressure on yourself to become fluent. Just
Yeah.
just enjoy the process. But italki is a fantastic platform, and of course there are so many others as well too. Now, we're getting towards the end of my list, but Google Arts and Culture. Do you know about Google Arts and Culture?
No, I just heard about, I just literally listened to your podcast
Oh,
today so I could prep myself. And so I did hear you talk about it, and I'm interested in what you're going to have to say about that.
yeah, so Google Arts and Culture I guess it's a Google project where they're collating incredible, very, very high resolution images of of masterpieces around the world. So you can go and visit museums around the world and you can really go and see these very, very high resolution images. They even have, I haven't tried this, but you can get these little cardboard Google goggles
Mhm.
where you can attach your phone. So it's like a virtual reality kind of thing. So
Oh,
you're actually like in the museum looking
oh,
around.
wow. So
And
oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so you don't, and they're not expensive virtual reality. They're literally made out of cardboard. So you just hold your phone up to your eyes. Personally, I don't like it. It makes me feel a little bit car sick, but most people find it fine. You can just go and looking through a museum. It's really cool,
That's
and of
kind
course
of
they have
cool.
a lot of great information too.
Oh, hopefully you can put that link down below when we're finished.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Another one is a podcasts as well. Of course, you have my podcast, the Well Vegan Travel podcast, and sometimes I do stuff with where I just talk about travel generally. Sometimes it might be destination specific. So gosh, what is the episode tomorrow is not destination specific, but I have one coming up where I'm talking about travel to Africa, which should be quite interesting. I've had ones where we've explored like Valencia region of Spain, and of course, I'm not the only podcast that's doing that. There's some really other great ones like the Food Blogger Pro, the Thoughtful Traveler,
Right.
the World Nomad podcast. All of these ones. So
Those are
yeah,
vegan as well, or no?
sorry.
Those are vegan podcasts, or no?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
There are a couple of vegan travel podcasts, but of course not all of them are. You
Right.
just have to try not to get too upset about the references to foie gras, for example.
Right.
I remember a couple of episodes ago, I had an interview with a tour guide in the Dordogne in the southwest of France. So this is an example of a destination specific podcast episode. Yeah. Another one, of course, is books. Another way we can be starting to learn more about a country is books. I think we probably all could do with diversifying what the kind of books that we read and the kind of authors that we read. So this can be a really great way to travel the world. Of course, there's blogs, there's Pinterest.
I found something new
Oh,
that
tell me.
and I know we've talked about it offline, but I joined Clubhouse. So those people who have iPhone, you can request somebody. You can actually send me a message, and I'll try and get you an invitation in there. I think I have a couple invitations, but you can only use an iPhone right now. They're in beta mode. So for
Yeah,
those with iPhone, there are, in fact, it just popped up as we were looking here. There are a lot of travel clubs. There's
that's
Girls Who
cool.
Love Travel.
Hmm.
And there were a few others, some travel agent ones, but you can join it publicly, so you can learn things. Like today I was on there and they were chatting about how to move forward, during the pandemic. So they give you some great ideas. Jason and Jennifer and I are actually doing a Clubhouse chat on um, on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And it's
Oh.
going to be about vegan travel, and it's with a club called Plant Based. And this woman has like over 100,000 followers. So I'm hoping we get a big
Oh,
audience.
yeah.
So yeah, and that actually, if it works out, we might start doing that regularly. Um, but so
I've
that's
heard it's
another
very
option. You can talk to other people. Basically, Clubhouse is just a chat with other people. There are people that just sit back in the audience and they don't say anything at all, and then you have your speakers,
good.
but you can request to come in and ask questions. And it's
I've heard it's great. I'm an Android user, so I'm going to be a bit behind, I'm sure, by the time Android. I don't even think they've got plans to an announcement date for Android users. But yeah, so Clubhouse is a great one.
Yeah.
So yeah, books, blogs, Pinterest, Google Earth. I don't know about you, but I love going on Google Earth and visiting places, especially places that I've been to before, to just kind of reminisce.
I've been on it, but not, I think it was just to look at my neighborhood or something. So I have to go check it out again.
Right. Yeah. Um, I just wanted to get this one up ready so that I can share it with you.
Okay.
So there's another really fun one, which is, let me get this one. Haha, live cams. Have you ever, oh, I need to turn that volume off. There. Have you ever used explore.org?
No.
Do you know this one? Okay, I'm going to share my
And it's a live
screen.
cam. I remember those years ago, they were having live cam.
Yeah, so I used to do this with my students all the time. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so of course the time isn't great right now because we're late in the afternoon,
Right.
but they have these cams, these live cams all over the world.
I've done the
And
Black Eagle. I've done the
so
Black Eagle ones. Those are fun.
Yes, so they have them. These are all of the live ones here, and some of them are like in zoos and stuff. So I'm obviously personally, I don't think many of us are interested in that. But you can go and see, like you can follow a certain um, live cam. So, for example, the bald eagles are starting to nest now,
Right.
and this
That's
is
live.
live. This is in California.
Oh, it's great that she's there right now.
Yeah, yeah. So by the looks of it, she hasn't laid her eggs yet. Maybe, I can't really tell. But, if I were to go back there in a week or two or a few days, maybe she's laid her eggs. And, maybe if I'm lucky, I might even get to see them hatching. And
Yeah.
then over time, I can see her, see the chicks growing, and I can see mum coming back to feed them. It's really, really special to sort of have your favorite live cam to come back to and just sort of see how the nest is coming along. This time of year is especially good because, of course, it's when the animals are nesting. Another really great time of year is like October, November, when the bears are feeding for the salmons. They have a lot of live cams in the areas where the salmon are spawning, and the bears and all of the other animals come to feast on the dead and dying salmon. So I really, really love these
What's the
live
kitty cat?
cams.
There's some kitty cats down there.
Yeah, they do have
Is that
like
best friends?
rescue sanctuaries and as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They do have quite a few of those, so you can go and check out the little kitten rescues.
Oh, that's in California too. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Oh my God.
it's so cute. It's so cute. So, of course, this isn't the best time of day because it's like
They're outside.
darkish for much of the world now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But depending on the time of day, you can see some really, really cool things.
Yeah, and a lot of sanctuaries have that too. I follow the donkey sanctuary in Ireland and
Right.
the UK. That's my favorite
Hmm.
animal now is donkeys.
Yeah, they are pretty cute.
They-
They are pretty cute.
Catherine just mentioned here, she's had many opportunities of live stream history and arts tours offered by the Washington, D.C. History and Culture. And now she's
Mm.
watching the Smithsonian National Museum of American History and Culture.
Wow.
So there you
Gosh,
go.
Catherine, you're doing a great job at continuing your
Stop traveling.
cultural learning.
Travel gal.
Okay, I'm nearly to the end of my list, but I also thought, oh, hang on, I have a couple of extra ones.
Okay.
There are African. This is one for African wildlife, African.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to get that one.
Yeah, then there's a Northern Lights in real time with the Canadian Space Agency Aurora Max Cam. How
Good.
amazing is that? And the International Space Station.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna travel to Mars soon, aren't we?
I've apparently.
That's what
Oh,
Richard Branson and the guy from Tesla and somebody else wants to do. They're all having a race
yeah.
to do who's gonna do it first.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, interesting choice of spending resources, I guess. But so I'm really at the end of my list now, but of course, we can start planning for our next destination, whether it's like deciding I'm going to go to Italy in 2022 and I'm going to be really ready to go by the time I go. I'm going to have a little bit of Italian mastered. I'm going to understand a little bit about Italian art history. I'm going to decide the kinds of places that I want to go, how I'm going to get there. This, of course, is a way to really generate some excitement. Even if we're not sure exactly where we're going to go, we can just decide that that will be the first place that we go. We can also try to go on safari in our own neighborhood as well. So, if you're not a bird watcher, if you're not somebody who is good with identifying birds, for example, then maybe now is a good time to start. Get a bird book or look online for birds in your area. Borrow a pair of binoculars and see if you can identify these birds. or just maybe even learn to identify some trees. All of these things that we tend to do when we go on holiday, but we kind of ignore when we're at
We
home.
take it for granted. I literally live right behind, or right, my backyard is the Potomac River. It's like,
Wow.
2 blocks away, you just have to kind of go in and out, but
Yeah.
here in like less than 10 minutes. So
Wow.
I just walk down there. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, and you see all kinds of wildlife down there. You see, we've had beaver, we've had a lot of great blue heron,
Mm.
snapping turtles. I've seen snapping turtles
Oh,
laying eggs
cool.
down there. We have bald eagles down there, but I have yet to have seen them, although other people have. So yeah, we have a safari in our backyard, but pretty
Mm.
much.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
now that
that's
we're feeding birds, we're getting more of a safari back in our own backyard. Literally, we have to be careful with the dog. Anyway.
oh, okay. Yeah. And my last one is reminisce on previous trips. I think we can all probably do that. We can be looking at photos again. We can be catching up with people that we met on our holidays. Maybe if you went on a tour, for example, maybe you're still connected with the people on the tour. Maybe you might like to have a meetup. And just reminisce, have a little, share your photos and just share stories. That can be really nice.
Yeah,
And there's
actually
some.
he's an actor, and he was at the what was it, the world, God, not World Trade. It was the oh God, I can't think of it. It was the big, I can't think of it. We'll go on. I'll think of it later. But it made me look for photos from a time when I was about 10 years old.
Mm,
So there you go. And
yeah.
in New York.
Yeah, yeah, definitely reminiscing is a really fun thing to do, like actually spending the time to go down memory lane and to just notice and let those memories wash over you. Another thing that you can do is create a memento of previous travels, whether deciding to make a photo book. There are some really fun, actually, I have a blog post about this, but it's Etsy is a really great place, and I am where you can buy or create souvenirs from your travels. So, for example, like a customized map
Oh,
of a special trip that you did, you know. And this can be a really nice thing as well to create a memento. That's all I've got, Donna.
that was great. So when is your next group trip? Do you know yet? And
Well, we're hoping it will be in September to the Dordogne in France. We have the mindset in that it will happen, but of course we obviously are keeping expectations in check, but we want to at least plan for the future. So our trip to the Dordogne in the southwest of France will be happening in September, and it will be a lot of fun. Southwest of France is not particularly vegan friendly, but of course we will make sure that you will feel satiated and delicious, and we will not be taking you to any of the foie gras areas. Let's just say that.
no. And so where can they find this?
Yeah, yep. So you can go to wellvegantravel.com, and you can see all of our trips on our new sparkly new website that Seb just launched a couple of weeks ago, and it's much nicer and easy to use. You can look at the pictures and you can get all of the information about the trip and all of our upcoming trips on our website.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
And you guys, whoever wants to join Clubhouse, come join me on Tuesday night. It's going to be fun. Jason and Jennifer and I will be there to answer any of your questions about vegan travel, travel in general, how to use a travel agent. We don't cost money. No, I'm just going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so it was fun. We got to do this again.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah,
ask
it
the
was
other guy.
great. I love talking about this stuff.
This is kind of like a spur of the moment thing that we did, sort of. Yeah. I mean, so I like this. But we'll
Yep.
do it again. Thank you, Bridie.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Okay, so we're off let me get off.